Sky Dance by Charumathi Supraja. Potatoes definitely grow faster in Norway. Though it's not like the strong sunlight we get in India, they have 60 continuous days up north during summer. You actually have to draw the thick curtains and sleep if you want to cut off that sunlit night. On the other hand, the long winters, oh, they make you feel like you're living in a Mani Ratnam film. Remember those Padams, Chellama? That continuous darkness outside can really bring you down. But the rooms and even the buses are all heated and well lit. People are so cheerful. Children come out colorfully wrapped to play in the snow which falls like Pura Chakre. Milk is so tasty here. People drink lots of milk. Their cheese is very special. Though I somehow don't like cheese. Always felt it can't be vegetarian. I see that Patima, my unlikely guide to Norwegian life and culture, is wearing a cotton sari that matches the slate grey and red multi-level wood-panelled house that TC Mama and Ingrid Mami have built. The Cultural Arts Centre they co-founded is on the first level. Patima's studio apartment is on the second level and Mama Mami live on the floor above. I see that Patima's feet are in socks, but she wears no shoes or house slippers. She's stirring a kandatipli rasam that will soothe our achy jet-lagged bodies, she says. I like Mani Ratnam's Irttipadams, Patima. Tell me, how do they bury their dead here in Norway? And how do they lay to rest burdensome memories? My questions linger just below the surface of a smile as I admire the hand-picked flowers that Ingrid, my beautiful Norwegian mommy, gave me this morning. She'd left a candle burning in a dish by the main door. A welcome candle for her husband's niece, she said, and for Patima, whom she hugged fiercely and said she was so happy to have back. TC Mama, Tyagaraj and Chandrasekharan stood by the door and welcomed me to their home. Patima's kitchen is an island counter standing towards a corner of the studio apartment. A nook behind it contains all her spices and provisions. One end of the apartment is partitioned off to create 2 bedrooms. The wooden room divider is covered with photos, 2 of which stand out. A group photo of my 4 mamas, their wives, and Tatu Patima, probably taken at Tatu's Sadabhishekam, and one of Patima and Ingrid standing outdoors, their arms around each other's waists, both wearing what looks like a traditional Norwegian costume. Patima's computer table is small and has a short bookcase beside it. The bookcase contains some photos and a brass lamp close beside them. The dining table I sit at is covered with a sunny yellow cloth that has floral embroidery and a cotton lace border. Potted plants brighten the studio. The smell of Patima's rasam blends with the music floating up from downstairs. Mama Mami and their students are rehearsing for the Tromsø World Music Festival. Pati and I hardly spoke on the long journey from Bangalore to Tromsø. She held my hand and brought me here, like I was now 27 and she 78. I had savored her silent company and read, between bouts of empty gazing, my recent diary entries. April 2nd, 2010. Patima, dearest grandma of my childhood, arrives from Norway tomorrow. Flick of a switch in an electric crematorium. Whoosh of fire. Appa was gone. Sharp-tongued, plate-flinging hand. All gone. By the time Patima arrives, he'll be scraped off the metal tray and tightly packed into an earthen pot, ready to flow with the Kaveri. To me, Patima is more than a childhood memory. She's the feel of a much-washed 9 yards cotton sari. She's the taste of fresh food served in steel plates on a rough kitchen floor. She's nimble-fingered Patima, playing marbles, picking nits and lice from my hair. She's a lap on which I was always a princess, my darling, my golden one, Rasati, Cello and Tango. I remember the day I last saw Patima. It was my 7th birthday. My face was buried in her lap. Her sari was soft and smelt of bar soap. The voices raised in the room. They were making my throat hurt. I peered at Tati, my cold as marble other grandma. Her face was all twisted as she spoke. It was something gone wrong about tender mango pickle and grandsons. Tears were pouring down Amma's face. She was silent, though fingers were being pointed at her. I wanted to say I was hungry, but Patima smoothed my hair over and over, rhythmically moving her knee. I woke up the next morning and found Tatu Patima gone. They never visited again. Not when Tati died, 17 years later. Not when I married the love of my life. Not even when Amma retired from bank service and started staying home. Over the years, a current of sizzling whispers and rolled eyes kept us informed about Patima's family. Not one, but all 4 uncles married outside the community. That's also okay. Not as bad as how those different daughters-in-law have been accepted by Tatu Patima. Lalita, I heard your mother even packs dabbas for these women every morning, like she's packing lunch for her own daughter, reported one gossip on the breeze. I could never read Amma's face at such times. She seemed always to be facing the kitchen counter. My mamas, all of them much younger than Amma, have settled so far away in Tromsø, Muscat, Melbourne, and New York. How could we know how Patima has been after Tatu died in Melbourne? Vishalamatte, whose son lives in Melbourne, met her after that. She almost beat her chest and told us that Patima was still wearing her thali and kungumapottu, the size of a 50 paisa coin, on her forehead. Your mother is refusing to dress like a respectable widow, Lalita, she told Amma. How does Patima shuttle between homes in 4 far-flung cities? Why has she chosen to share her abundant love only in her sons' homes? Doesn't she care or know how arid our lives are? I'm nervous about Patima's remarks and potential advice on my current predicament. Surely the wagging tongues would have sung at her shows. Those accidentally discovered emails have smithereened my life like a stone floor shatters a flung coconut. That record of my husband's erotic adventures with a colleague is now family lore. I came back to Amma's to rethink my life, but Appa's death has tangled my thoughts even more. The doctor gave us a complex description of physiological causes, but death by chronic rage would have been closer to the truth. The house is full of relatives. The family news mill is running on high heat. Every day I feel more hated and pitied. Meena Atta and Malti Akka said they wanted to talk to me yesterday. I didn't think it would be a bad idea to speak to a qualified lawyer and a dear cousin. They explained at length that my best option would be to simply learn to be more adventurous in bed. Malti Akka even said I could pay him back with his own coin. Many women have affairs nowadays, you know, she said. April 3rd, 2010. When the car brought Patima from the airport, Amma watched from the veranda and seemed to hesitate before stepping out. Then she walked out and took Patima's bags, barely touching her mother's outstretched hands. She stood for an instant, still as the tears on the edges of her eyes. "I'll bring coffee," she said, and went into the house. I rushed into Patima's arms. Her sari was familiarly soft, her plait grey, and her eyes moist as ever. How could it be 20 years since we met? Rasati and Cello and Tango. I think I wept more for the rubble of 2 marriages, less for the loss of a father. Patima held me tight and said, I've come to take you with me for a couple of months. We left for Tromsø after 13 days of funeral ceremonies. Amma said she'd like to stay and sort things out. Whether she meant it metaphorically or not, I was glad she seemed sure of what she wanted to do. She looked lighter than ever before. Chellama, shall we eat? Patima's palms are warm. Over the weeks that I spend with TC, Ingrid and Patima, I gaze at the local landscape and try to count the shades of every color that expresses itself. I strike up a sort of friendship with a shy moose that hides behind the maple tree in the yard every morning. I learn to stop disliking the cod liver oil I have to swallow. I start feeling like I've dipped my blistered feet in a cool pebbled stream. One night, as we're sitting in the patio after dinner, Patima asks me if I've thought about what I'm going to do. I couldn't bear living with him anymore. He broke something more than my trust. But I also can't imagine living alone with this pain for the rest of my life. I'm calm as the night while telling her this. Don't wait for death to release you, Cello. Listen to your inner voice. Just throw that thali on his face and come if that's what you want to do, Patima says. I'm not surprised at Patima's words, but I feel myself floating up from the chair. Patima looks at the sky and speaks as if she's reading a code. When Tatu's brothers and sisters shunned us for supporting our son's choices, we felt lonely for a while. Then one day Tatu asked me, how can custom be more important than life? We gained approval for getting our daughter a good husband. But what did our daughter get? Patima turns to me and looks back at the sky. Your mother's life, Cello. Damaged by the path we put her on. She refused to come with us that night on your 7th birthday. Her crime for that day was that she had not put one handful more than 5 cups of salt for the vadamanga pickle. If she'd been one for following instructions, she would have borne us a grandson by now. That's what your tati said. When we let go of all reservations and plunged into the changes that our sons brought into our lives also blossomed. It makes no difference where you live. You have to come home every day to the voice in your heart, says Patima. At that instant, a giant green glow smolders across the sky. The colors dance, now green, now violet pink, now translucent green. The lights are the swirling skirts of an ethereal, whimsical sky dancer. I breathe deep and know that this will take me across.